They're ashamed of being themselves.
Oh yeah.
How more of a despicable creature could you be than someone who is ashamed and feels sorry for the color of their skin? I never owned slaves. Nobody here ever picked cotton. End of story.
What's your name, man?
Tyler Tenbrink.
Spell the last name for me, Tyler?
No, thank you. It's easy, just like it sounds.
Tenbrink.
Tenbrink.
Brink. You got it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tyler.
Where are you from, Tyler?
Houston.
Houston. Thank you.
Okay, basically what brings me out here is kind of what I was telling him. I don't know who you are with, so if I announce who you work for, I'm not coming at you personally. I'm a nice guy. But like him, he works for the Huffington Post. How many Huffington Post headlines have you seen that slam white people? Answer like 12 reasons to hate your white neighbor. You agree, right? You see this, and you see it when you get on Facebook, right? MIC, Huffington Post. You want to know the worst one? BuzzFeed. Right?
Do you agree with Ricahrd Spencer and the things that he talks about, Colton?
Which topics?
His topics about white nationalism. What do you agree with? Do you agree with Ricahrd Spencer?
Maybe like 75% of his what he talks about I agree with. Like, see, okay, for me to say this, it doesn't mean that I hate anyone of any other race. My girlfriend's Mexican. Like, I'm not, you know what I mean? I don't, but you know, when he comes out and says things like, this country was founded by white people under white nationalism, it is not racist to say that that is true. That is how that happened, correct? So when he talks about that, right, and he talks about like white people kind of have more of a say-so because they set up and founded this country. That's true, what he says about white people, you know, coming over here and setting this country up. Those men, our founding fathers, were white nationalists. Now, I'm not saying that means you have to be a white nationalist, but understanding that is okay, and it doesn't make you a racist, or it doesn't mean that you hate other races because you realize something that happened.
You said you agreed with 75% of what he says.
Well,
what don't you agree with?
Okay, the thing about Ricahrd Spencer, I'm just gonna say, he's someone. To me, it sounds like he's writing a book when he talks. He doesn't come out and say stuff like he won't address that our entire Hollywood media is ran by the Zionist media. He won't address that. So there's certain things he won't talk about that people in our movement want him to talk about. But I'm not gonna hate on him for not talking about it because he is, like, you know, getting out here and doing this.
So you want him to go farther?
Not further. I just feel like he beats around the bush. Like, you know what I mean? He'll say something like real like, as an awakened European person, we feel to prosper as we see the dew on the. You know what I mean? Like, he kind of talks like that. Like.
And what would you prefer that he say?
Well, I don't know. I'm just saying it sounds like he's trying to be too intellectual. He doesn't really talk about. Honestly, like, I'm not a huge Ricahrd Spencer fan. I'm basically just here because it's for me to be here and even show up at this event. I could lose everything. I could lose my job. I could lose all kinds of stuff because I'm a white male. And so instead of just sitting back like, oh no, let these people do it, like, come out here and it's free speech. I know a lot of people in America right now are against free speech. There's a lot of people that, like, I mean, okay, let's say Antifa doesn't show up here today. How much damage do you think will take place here? Anybody? None. No damage will happen. If Antifa does not show up here, or Black Bloc, or by all means necessary, whatever they call themselves, if they don't show up here today, there will be no violence, free speech will happen, people will go home.
Your thoughts about the state of emergency?
A hurricane's considered a state of emergency, right? Is that man as dangerous as a hurricane? I think that is very, very stupid that the government, what is that, the governor issued that? Yeah, that's pretty dumb. Ahead of the event too, before it even happened, that's pretty crazy.
Can you tell
I mean,
us?
that shows you right there that they're not for free speech.
Can you tell us about your pen once more for people who didn't hear you right away?
It's to trigger a lot of people, piss people off. People shove these agendas in my face and stuff. It's like, oh, what about this? Like, did y'all see the what is it, Long Beach Public Library, that tranny they had. Did y'all see that? It's literally like the devil in the flesh. Like, it doesn't take a religious man to know that that was the devil in the flesh teaching kids. And supposedly, like, if you're against that, you're a Nazi. So I wear that just to let people know, like, I'm not cool with that shit. If this triggers you, then, like, I'm not talking to you, but, like, go cry or something.
What's your name? But what is it?
I don't know. I've given my name a lot of times right now, and I know with all these cameras and stuff right here, I don't know. I talked to a guy with Huffington Post, and I know he's going to go, like, slander me. So I don't know how many of y'all are going to do that. Honestly, raise your hand if you advocate for white existence. If you think that white should have the same.
I just want to ask you a question. What's your point here?
I'm just here because this is an unprecedented event. I mean, no one when have you ever heard of a national state of emergency or a state of emergency declared because someone was going to talk about pro-white speech, or just whites existing, or even just saying anything you've never heard. I mean, shit, you have child pornography and all these twisted sexual conventions they're allowed to go on for these sexual fetishes. But yet, if a man says whites have a right to exist, they have to declare a state of emergency. I want to be part of this because it's unprecedented. It's a huge part of history.
I went down there with
and you support his message.
Yes, definitely.